돌아오는 방향을 모르겠다면 가장 아팠던 첫 매듭을 더듬어서 되짚어라. 그 떨림이 멎는 곳에는 내가 있단다.
오늘이군요.
I hate it already. Anyway, nah. Not that bad, not that bad. But it's very obvious that they are very much playing on Spider's Thread and what's it called, Hellscreen at the same time. But we'll see how they decide to fuse the two. By the way, Akutagawa's a hack. He basically just wrote fanfiction. Anyway, don't mind it, don't mind it. Good to see these three are back. They are going to die really tragic deaths, aren't they? Trying to think of it. This is finally us getting voice acting for these three characters, huh?
저는 에고 장비 덕에 따뜻했지만 아무튼 계획서는 제가 가져올게요.
Ah. Yeah, the Intervaller has no VA yet, which means, yeah, this is our first time hearing them. Right. Well, that was fast.
미안하구나. 그렇게 불필요하게 절단하고 싶진 않았는데 이곳에는 일말의 가망조차 남지 않아.
Nice.
봤어? 만날 카롱군과 둘만 아이스크림
아.
먹으러 가고.
They still remember the ice cream.
혹시 구역을 순회하면서 그곳의 특산물을 모조리 섭렵하고 돌아오는 것은?
I was gonna say, where was this gremlin when everyone else was speaking up until just now? As if to prove Otis right, someone forcefully yanks the truck's door open. Todd.
자기 어떻게든.
Todd stumbled into the truck, short of breath. She was bleeding and covered in wounds, both minor and serious. Her eyes glistened with wild anxiety. A broken pistol hung from her waist. It was impossible not to notice the still fresh gashes and wounds on her. The first thing that caught my attention, however, was a stump right where her left arm used to be. Oh, that's not ominous at all. You like the battle theme in this canto? It's slap? Haven't heard it yet. The Spider's Thread. Are they actually going to be this on the nose about it? Wait, hang on a second. Let me do a quick Google to make sure I'm not going insane here. Let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Okay, for a second there, I thought they might have just been going super on the nose and deciding, let's name all of the nodes after different short stories. Thankfully, Ambush in the Dark is quite literal, and there's no such thing. But Spider's Thread, fuck this story. He's just writing fanfiction. It is a... How do I put this? It is a Buddhist story written by someone who doesn't understand Buddhism. It follows a bandit who refuses to step on a spider, for it is a creature of its own. And Buddha looks down into hell and sees this bandit chief among the inhabitants of hell. So he figures, oh, there's this nice other spider over here in Nirvana with me. Would you lend me your thread and let him, give him a way to salvation, essentially. So Spider lets down the thread. The bandito happens to look up, sees the thread, starts climbing really aggressively because he's like, holy shit, I've got the arms for this. I got the strength. I can climb better than anyone else, and I'm going to get out of here. And through my own efforts, not the grace of some other shit, I'm going to gut up and escape hell. He proceeds to get halfway up, get tired, halfway between hell and salvation, pretty much, and looks downwards. As he looks downwards, he sees a trail of other sinners following him upwards. Now, this trail of other sinners is, well, they're all desperate to get out, too. Now, he thinks that he is God's given gift or whatever the hell, and decides to start cursing out these sinners, being like, no, this is my thread, get off, blah, blah, blah. And at that moment, the thread snaps and they all go careening back into hell. That's Akutagawa's version of the Spider's Thread. I'm pretty sure the Spider's Thread is meant to be based off of a different terrible, even. But let's see. Akutagawa's one is like the most well-known version. It's supposed to be based on something, from what I recall. But all you need to know is that Spider's Thread is stupid short and is like Buddhist media written by someone who isn't Buddhist. He does not understand karma and reincarnation and other cycles of suffering. Anyway, regardless, we're going in. If you need a rant counter, hang on, I got you. And we'll place it in this little section down here. There we go. You guys can see the counter now. Yeah, with that guy's luck, he's probably alive still. That autopilot's about to die off screen. Let's see if there's anyone you wouldn't be pissed about dying off screen. Who is it and why is it Pilot? Yeah, fair. Fair. It probably would indeed be Pilot that I would not give a shit about dying off screen. Oh. Well. Utter silence descends as a kindly calling cuts off the blood-curdling scream from the other side. The voice that came through the radio was nothing short of affectionate. And it was easy to guess who the daughter was. Oh, Andromello, I am so sorry. I hate Akutagawa's works. I am so sorry. I'm pretty sure they read a lot more elegantly in Japanese, and his prose is probably a lot stronger when it isn't being translated through to English. However, I am not a fan by any stretch of the imagination. I am an active Akutagawa hater. How does one put it? So, my girlfriend was like, oh, yeah, he spent 3 hours reading Akutagawa short stories last night. And then, in the morning, he ranted at me for another hour until I asked him if we could go out for lunch. That was her response after hearing me rant about the guy. So, I am so sorry, Andromello. I am not a fan of Akutagawa. I read 8 of his short stories. Let's see, it was... Let me pull up a quick list I sent to someone. Hang on. See, who did I send it to? It was either Stay High or Dragon. How much do I need to scroll up here? Also, we're increasing that counter to like 2. Anyway. Specifically, I read Rashomon, The Nose, so Hana, Liquor Worm, Sweet Yam Soup, or Yam Gruel, whichever translation you go with, Tobacco to Akuma, so Devil and Tobacco, Fortune, The Spider's Thread, and Hellscreen. Those are the 8 that I've read so far. His prose is good already in Portuguese, so I wonder how much better it is in Japanese. I'm not too sure how Portuguese reads, actually. Like, personally, I can only really do... Let's see. I can do English shockingly well, because I used to be really bad at it. And then Japanese to an extent. I'm only about N3 at best. And then for... Let's see. Then Vietnamese is my background, so I can listen fluently to Vietnamese, but I cannot otherwise speak it or write it quite well. Anyway, Akutagawa rant counter going up to 2. Me knowing Vietnamese is new to you. Well, yeah, it's because I speak it like an American, and it sucks. It's like, I wouldn't even know what to say at this point. Because I just haven't needed to use it. It's like, tiếng Việt của con hơi ổn quá. Không biết nói gì. Exactly, it sounds terrible. I never want to use it again. That kind of affair. We'll head straight to the HQ research facility as soon as Sword opens the portal. It wasn't hard to intuit that Ryoshu's turn had arrived, given her evident excitement. If so, the back door leading to the HQ, which Ryoshu intends to use, should be the path we're meant to take this time.
분명 나락일 것이고 나락은 언제 기다리고 있던 게 있었으니.
천장의 소리.
아.
습격자가 차량을 발견한.
Oh, we fighting inside the truck.
부서지기 전에 일단 넓은 곳으로 나가는 게 낫지 않겠냐?
아니요. 이 트럭은 피사의
아.
특이점이 적용되어 있다고 했잖아. 오히려 안에 있는 게
B Corp trying to develop the safest place in the world.
안전한 건 맞지? 지금 천장에 살짝 금 간 것 같지 않아?
Trying.
그럴 리가. 분명 탄성이 강해서 어지간한 힘에는 휘기만 할 텐데.
I mean, considering whatever it was giving a color some trouble. We're about to be in for some shit, aren't we?
차량용 이동 장치 외벽에 피사의 특이점이 적용된 것을
Gonna relive my visceral reaction to a certain upcoming dialogue line. Yeah.
그래서 트럭은 밖에서 볼 때보다 안이 넓고 외부 충격으로부터 방어하기 좋죠.
Wait, you're not telling me it's this line. More spacious in the inside than it appears from the outside. If you're... I only watched like 5, maybe 6 seasons of Doctor Who, so if that's the line, bruh.
다만 피사에서 저희가 탑승했던 실험 모델과 달리 이 차량은 비포팀의 원활한 배치를 목적으로 운영돼 충분한 성능을 위해서는 언제나 그에 걸맞은 값이 들고
High level of investments required.
그렇지 않은
It's a
제품은
budget
특이하게
model, bruh.
소비될 수 있다는 겁니다.
He cheaped out on us.
고래라는 거네.
그렇다면 거미 집의 아비는 아니군.
The assailant is not one of the nurse fathers from the House of
아비 중
Spiders.
한 명이었다면 이 정도. 처음부터 강한 놈이 나타.
Rather bland story progression. Fuck you, mate. Fuck you.
아비라면 혹시 지난번 뇌행이라
사담한 상황이 끝난 뒤에 해도 늦지 않다. 관리자님, 곧 천장 부분이 파괴될 것 같습니다.
Go for the kill the moment they get inside. Well, that's fun. Oh. That's pretty cool.
소환!
Wait, don't engage. Though we were readying ourselves to skewer the intruder the moment he stepped inside, we had to immediately backtrack on that idea when we saw who he was carrying.
시간이랐을 뿐 숨은 온전히 붙어 있습니다.
일부러 저자의 팔만 잘라내고
예상대로 동료들에게 도움을 구하기 위해 온 것을 보니 반응을 지켜본 것은
The intruder continued, glancing towards Sod. As if in response to that, Roshu placed her hand on her scabbard. Roshu?
버스 기사가 다칠 일은 없을.
B-Doc. Certain character later on design looks very OC. I would not be surprised.
그러니 시계 난장 피우지 마라.
그게 무슨 요시 씨!
Roshu ignored Sinclair and rushed towards the intruder, the scabbard cleaving through the air.
막았나?
인질은 신경도 쓰지 않으시는 겁니까?
내 놈들이 죽게 둘 리 없지. 인질의 목숨으로 붉은 길잡이의 분노를 살 계획은 없을 테니.
Like Roshu said, the intruder was only defending himself against her strikes, without harming Sharon. Just as the other sinners were stepping up to join the assault,
전투의 예법을 다하기 위해 한 분씩 상대해드리려 했습니다만
honorable combat, bruh.
스승님이 올 때까지 이 자리를 넘겨줘서는 안 되는 상황인지라.
Ah. Okay. Very funky shit. The intruder gestured with his hand, and strange bizarre things dropped through the ceiling with a thump.
빌려온 무기를 사용해야겠군요.
Borrowed weapon. And they look like...
그건 뒤틀림이나 괴물 같은 걸까요?
Looks familiar to an OC you've seen on Scab. I'll see if I get that kind of reaction as well, mate. No, I think they're people.
저 자식이 말한 그 스승이란 놈 베르길리우스가 상대하고 있댔지.
특색 말이 분명 카론군이 붙잡혀서 제대로 싸우지 못하고 있는 것이라 생각한다네.
카론을 구해서 본사든 어디든 도망치기만 해도 길잡이가 전력을 다할 수 있는 거 아니냐?
당장 할 수 있는 건 그게 최선인 것 같긴 하네요.
Alrighty. So, let's be careful and prioritize Charon's safety above all else. Okay. Combat. Finally. I get to use some of the new IDs. That's fine. 8 base Clashful Guard is pretty goofy. Okay. I don't think it matters. Yeah.
제압 개체에게 큰 피해를 준 것 같아.
Oh.
기후팀의 직원과의 완벽한 공격이었어.
The fuck was that? Okay, some of these enemies are just very goofy. Prescripts. I haven't been paying attention to Force. I don't know if I'm actually... Poise.
대화를 하는 것이
Oh, she's poise syncing. Oh, that's pretty cool. Not gonna lie, I didn't actually read too much of their kits, of the 2 newbies. I don't know much of what they actually do. I just know that following prescript does good things. Admittedly, that is very cool, giving Ujats guns, man. That is actually very cool. Force is basically manual win rate. That's a good way of putting it, yeah. This node had nothing to do with the fucking short story Spider's Thread. There is no karma here. There is no lifeline offered, except maybe going through the fucking back door. I hate it. I hate it so much. Anyway, hang on. Because of that, 1 second here. There we go. You know, at some point, it's just gonna turn into Kim Ji-hoon rant instead of what's it call it? Akutagawa rant. At some point or another. Hey, Unlucky. Welcome, 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 welcome. Oh, Roshu's fixed to participate. Okay, of course she is. Let's see here. Who's the most plug and play? Yeah, you're probably the most plug and play here. Sure, 1 sec.
사냥감을 찾은 건
주인 놈 뜻에 따라
지령을
독재팀에 가시죠.
관리인가 아니면 애도인가?
Your passive can become potentially quite annoying. Free res isn't that usable. Generic healing. We'll keep the passive, why not? Wild Hunt's probably gonna eat it.
사냥감을 찾은
얄 주먹으로 매만 흔들어
악인들을 뒤쫓아서
애도의 시간.
Yeah, it'll do. Starts playing Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater as you climb the thread.
요즘
I see, we're a focused encounter now. Okay.
일하는데 힘든 점이 있다면 언제든지 나와 상담해줘.
Okay, that should be... Hostage situation. Eh. On the other hand, rekindled exhilaration. The clash power -1. Deal -20%. Lost 5 offense. Really? Wait. We're still at a +2 then, logically, all things considered. Wait, what's the point? Eh? What's the fucking point? La Spada di Palmero. Colpi Sotani. Textbook with a singular purpose. See, in a clash against Roshu, -3 clash power and convert coins on this unit's base skills to unbreakables. Also on Clash Lose, deal -80% and any on-hit effects do not activate. Duello. After clashing, inflict 1, the duel escalates against the target of this unit's clashed. In a clash against blah blah blah, heal 3 for every duel escalates on the target. Okay. Based on target's duel escalate stats. So ideally we want Ryoshu to take as many of these as possible, basically. That's like the gist of it. His gimmick reminded you of the last night from the collab. Oh. Okay, no, not 9:18. We've barely been streaming for like an hour. No way we're at 9:18. Oh, if that's considered neutral, that's a little worse for wear. The music's good though.
포위만 구축.
Oh, that's unlucky. Oh, that's very unlucky.
제 자세를 다시 해보십시오.
That's fine. There we go.
나아가주게.
Could be big damage turn now.
억제 성공.
Huge damage turn now.
격발.
상담에서 알려준 대로 잘했어. 역시 상담 프로그램을 진행한 건 다행이야.
Because this should stagger.
지키기 위해서.
And then the next two should really get in there.
충족. 지령이 이끄는 대로.
Huh? Bro just fucks off. Come on.
부분이 있는 쪽을 저쪽에 빼앗고
Don't be so hard on him. He's negative SP. Bruh.
일어나.
0 damage.
안 일어나?
Lament mourn despair. How goat is washed. Yeah.
누워서 그렇다면
Oh boy.
남 형체조차 남지 않게 갈라버려야겠군.
Ah.
아씨. 눈이 다시 아작난 걸 보니까
아.
여기 맞네. 우리
Oh. Wow.
내가 말했잖니 루치오. 너는 몇 년을 더
Okay.
물려도 우리 요시대 따라잡으려면 한참 남았다고.
Ah. Oh.
어때?
Sensing a sudden presence outside, the so-called Fum nurse father snatched Charon into her arms and swiftly assumed a fighting stance. Ah. Well, you don't say. Oh, we're getting budget. Got it. We're getting a lot of budget. Okay.
바로바로 떠올리기 힘들 텐데.
Ah.
잠깐만요. 그냥 보내줄 생각이라면
아가리.
Ah. Do not speak out of turn. Funny Fum logic. The Fum nurse father muttered viciously.
나는
Alrighty. They really doing the whole red string of fate thing, huh? Mutilated memory.
LC 부서입니다.
야, 이건
Well, shit's fucked. The sight that greeted us was nothing like what we remembered from our last visits to the regular checkup. Well, all three of them are probably fucking dead. The memories came flooding back. Researchers jotting down our checkup results on piles of paper, and Hohenheim, with his droopy, tired eyes, leafing through the files. We'd barely exchanged goodbyes when he rounded up the burnt-out lab staff, who were already pulling their hair out from the sheer level of stress to oversee another experiment in progress. Massaud, if you happen to notice anyone who looks like Hohenheim, let me know ASAP. Ah. Oh, CG.
부드럽군.
Roshu cast her gaze down, quietly eyeing her palm. From the cryptic words and contemplative look on her face, I could easily guess that she was taking a trip through the shadows of her past. Touching an invisible object with her palm and feeling its texture in search of something that should have been there in her hands. And I've been through enough to know that we would be revisiting her past together. However, What I witnessed was completely different from the memories of the other sinners I'd seen so far. The vision I saw was completely fragmented, as if a blade had cut up her memories into pieces. Within Roshu's memories, something did indeed rest in her palm, however. I couldn't even make out whether its hue was closer to black or white. Was it some kind of food, a weapon, or something else entirely? Even the expression that crossed her face when she saw it, and words that slipped from her lips in that moment escaped me. First time in chat, so just want to say I really liked your content and have a happy new year. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Happy new year as well, mate. One thing I saw for sure, though, was that the person who, in all likelihood, had given it to her, was letting out a lazy puff of smoke swirling in the air, watching Ryoshu's reaction in complete ease. I gazed back upon the cryptic scenes of Ryoshu's memory that flashed before my eyes. Ryoshu, is there anything you remember? Saru. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, calm down. Just let the chapter play out first. Okay, chapter did nothing with Saru. Okay. Saru is the Japanese word for monkey. It is also the word that they specifically used for, let's see, a nickname given to Yoshihide. Yoshihide in Hellscreen is given the nickname of Saruhide. Essentially being, well, Monkey Hide. Calling the painter a monkey because he was, well, for lack of a better term, he was an asshole, pretty much. He was pretty bad to his apprentices and whatnot, but it was undeniable his skill with a brush. There was also a monkey in Lord Horikawa's courts, which eventually got named Yoshihide due to the artist's daughter having done a couple of things here and there and whatnot. Anyhow, all you need to know is, no, that isn't a slight at Akutagawa this time. This one's more a slight at Kim Ji-hoon. Why the fuck would you drop that there? Anyway. Red Fred. Abi Koyan. I'm not a fan. Pride damage. It's everything. It's just Pekatula spam. Abby Kyorkan. We love focus slop encounters. Oh god. Oh, the background's pretty cool though. Pretty screw. Oh, that's just this. You know, you'd think they'd learn from Canto 4, right? You will do the same fight 500 times and you will like it. Nah. I've done worse before, honestly. When Bloody Mist was still strong enough in MD, I abused the living hell out of it during, Mirror of the Wuthering or whatever the bloody hell it was. The one during Heathcliff's Canto. Oh. We knelt around the fallen door, slipped our fingers under the debris, and lifted. The door rose with a loud metallic creak. Oh, that's fantastic, isn't it? Hey, Alyssa. Is Canto 9 so annoying? Unbreakable coins. Funky. Hey, look. Pablo. The roach is on his shoulder. What is rant count? How do I put it? So, each of Limbus's cantos are based off of different pieces of literature written by different authors. Akutagawa, let's see, Ryunosuke Akutagawa was the specific fellow which wrote Hellscreen, which would be the inspiration behind this canto. However, they seem to be borrowing a lot of these short stories from Akutagawa's works. He wrote over 150 short stories, in his 12 or 13 years of publishing. Now, the thing is, I do not like Akutagawa very much. So, whenever something shows up which pisses me off in terms of Akutagawa's works that Project Moon decided to borrow, or anything in regards to Akutagawa's works, the counter goes up. So far, though, they've faked this out with Spider's Fred and the mention of Saruhide being the nickname given to Yoshihide at a certain point. Am I Esku's long-lost brother? No, hell no. As far as I'm concerned. At most, I can put Esku as a friend of a friend. However, said friend is complicated to describe. Your videos helped me survive when Esku abandoned us. I must thank you. No worries, no worries. And Esku's back these days. He came out with the whole Heisho rant the other day. Hey. You know, the thread only connects through certain nodes. Doesn't even start here. It starts at the textbook, goes upwards, comes down at the node that means virtually nothing, comes back up at here. Unless it's supposed to be cluing us in on something. Charm. Fairy. Body. This is not just the Fae Lantern. Either the Fae Lantern or we're about to run into a corrupted version or corroded version of one of the researchers. It's just enough. Okay. Nice. Hang on, what's with this thing? It doesn't feel like the same entity we ran into in the mirror dungeon. If we are to delve deeper, it appears mirror the one we encountered in the refraction railway. While Hohenheim does harbor some interest in this subject, he is not great enough a genius to turn that curiosity into reality. Then why could this possibly be happening? Hold on, someone left this here. Seems to be a torn page of a note. It's covered in fluorescent paints, so it would be easier to spot. Whoever left it couldn't have known we were coming. Probably not. It's probably a note meant for possible survivors. No reason not to read it. Observation record. Irregularities. Written by Moses. LCD on sites. Really? Moses? Come on. LCD on-site investigative reasoning leader. The entity abruptly escaped its containment units during the assaults. Regardless of this note, should be warned that this entity shows some irregularities that have not been observed previously. Keep reading the record. When a high number of employees within the research facility were killed, the Fae Lantern breached containment. Under the LCE abnormality control protocols, such an escape is known to occur only when an employee with inherently low aptitude exhibits an attunement level exceeding 75% of LCE eager Fae Lantern, or when the outcome of managerial work is determined to be above very good. The Fae Lantern, whose escape was triggered by deaths around it, has deviated from its expected behavior pattern by preying on Charm's victims one by one, and instead has begun consuming multiple targets all at once. Presumably, the entity must have realized that its food reserves were being rapidly depleted. After Ezra destroyed the... After Ezra destroyed the luring unit twice, designated as Blue Fairy in the LCB observation log, the Fae Lantern's aggressiveness significantly increased. At that point, Ezra was no longer affected by its charm. Based on these observations, I was able to establish a hypothesis that anyone who observes the Blue Fairy for at least 7 seconds and then immediately destroys its head becomes immune to its influence. As this effect applies only to the individual who destroys it, this information may not be of much use to most researchers. However, I shall leave a note to be consulted should the need arise. Addendum. When the Fae Lantern identified only a single individual, it did not attempt to charm them, and instead appeared wary enough to simply watch them. Yet due to the limited sample size, further confirmation will be necessary. That is long. That's quite a bit of useful tips. Now I think we've got a rough idea of how to deal with it. Blah blah blah, we suppress it. Done.
굳이 직접 목격하지 않아도 느낄 수 있게
Did we just do too much damage for the gimmick to actually be like, for the gimmick to actually happen? Fuck It We Ball is just the Heisho team in general? Kinda. Heishos have a little bit more nuance than people give them credit for, but most of them are slot your defensive, go ham. YouTube model, so cute. It's one that I've been running for quite a while at this point. Let's see. Ah, yes. More combat. And just combat only. Left blade, right blade. Oh, come on. Really? The fighting the way... It even says it right there. It's the Wayward, what's to call it? Whatever the bloody hell his name is. Wayward Passenger. Like, bruh, are they even being subtle about this anymore? Actually, just getting kicked in the teeth by the Wayward Passenger is like, bruh.
이 전투는 승리할 거야.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Actually, he hit really hard just then. Jesus. Pretty sure you've never seen a high-speed rip space before? Fair. Wow. The left blade is like right at the stagger threshold. The right blade is not. Which means we are praying that we hit the stagger on both of these.
당신 짝패군요. 억세 성공. 격발.
That's a good stagger. That's not a stagger. Oh no. That's not good. I miscounted. We're fucked. There we go. Koi koi. Done. Fuck this fight. Okay, whoever told me this was peak is lying, man. Fuck this shit. Why the fuck is there a third fight in a row? Fruit, roots, left stem, right stem. It's the fucking apple. Are they just burning out Enkafal? Like, bro. Bro, please.
이번엔 어떤 짓을 한 악인들이요?
I did not wish for this. Congrats on getting both the new IDs. Last one. Thanks. Oh god. Did they make it bigger or has that always been that big? 6 attack power up on the roots. Really?
한눈 팔지 마세요. 내 말은 당신에게. 파도는 반드시 밀려올 테니.
Fuck this thing, man. We're just dumping everything on it.
삼코.
지령이
Bro, why aren't you just dead?
지령이 때 두렵지 않습니다.
Just die, please. Christ. The arm will break. Go for the head. Yeah, there was one more attack I could have placed on it. Oh my god. Please. Christ. Done. Okay.
지령했대. 두렵지 않습니다.
I'm disappointed over here in Wild Hunt Heathcliff. Very disappointed. No damage and take too much damage.
방송 섹터라고 적혀 있어요.
Now, there was one particularly dodgy prediction that I made for this Canto. There are enemies that have free coin unbreakable attacks. Have you encountered them earlier? How are they? Not the worst, but definitely far from the best. But yeah, there was one weird prediction that I made for this particular Canto, and it was if they were going to use more of Akutagawa's short stories, rather than just Hell's Screen and Spider's Thread, if they decided to make use of Rashomon. Rashomon follows a former servant essentially going traitor to his lord and trying to steal from his lord. If it is the case that the LCE is meant to represent Rashomon Castle or Rashomon Estate, then there's a 50-50 shot or a decent shot If the LCE is Rashomon Estates, then one of the three in LCE checkup is a traitor. Hence why everything has been going a little too smoothly and predictably currently. That is my personal guess. I don't know if that's actually what comes to fruition, but it is better that I outline that now rather than later. As the voice behind the microphone began to grow increasingly irritated, it became even more familiar. I was pretty sure I'd heard it somewhere before.
알리사 씨 말에 따르면 이 부분에 호의
잠깐. 방금 알리사라고 했나?
이 목소리 착각이
그다지 반갑지 않은 그 목소리로 미루어 보건대 이곳에 들여보내도 무방한 이들은 많네.
그다지 반갑지 않은 목소리가 들리는 걸 봐서는
Wow, passive aggressive at this timing. The doors of the broadcast sector inched open, but before you could take even a proper look at the people holed up within,
뭐야, 너희들이었어? 진작에 말하지. 나 기억나지?
ah, there we are, Ezra.
에즈라 씨.
We came face to face with Ezra, who had video called us with a plethora of information on blood fiends prior to our mission in La Mancha Land. Hey, Moses in person. The next person to show up was Moses. Saw her in the video call too. Team leader at LCD, if memory serves right.
가망이 없는 것도 아닌데.
Hey.
포기하지 말라고.
Cliff taking the lead here is great.
이해해 주세요.
Moses, who had been glaring at Otis since we came in, turned her gaze toward Ezra.
팀장님, 붉은 특색과 합류하면 막내가 없어도 승산이 충분하지 않을까요?
그래. 하지만 붉은 시선은 다른 이유를 말할 필요도 없이.
뭐? 아니, 왜 너희만 온 건데?
Ezra's face immediately soured the moment she realized that Virgilius wasn't with us. Her voice crashed over us like that of a host shrieking at uninvited guests barging into her home.
저희도 가진 짧다. 아르고스 부대의 에우리알로스와 비교하면 어떻지?
큰 차이는 없을.
Argos, you know, bruh. That's what they went with? Okay. Sure. Yeah, stray Otis law.
그쵸 팀장님, 우리도
Mandatory.
다들 잊어버렸나 봐.
Yeah, this is smelling more and more of like a traitor at this point.
미안하지만 그건 뭐
Newest addition to the LCD.
부서도 이제 규모가 커졌다 이 말이야.
자네들과 구면이라 들었다만.
Familiar silhouette stepped forward from the opposite side. Someone we did not expect to encounter here of all places.
그대들과의 조우가 항상 이러한 난전 속이란 면목이었군.
Huh.
하셨는가?
No, 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 no. Oh, nope, 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 nope. Okay, you know how I mentioned Rashomon and how it was a servant? If she's the fucking traitor, then it was on the nose the whole time. Anyway. Ah, yes, S-Corp. The one corporation that haunts me in my videos. Anyway. Yeah, 100% she could be the traitor. Anyway, don't mind it. Theories being theories. And there's still 7 or 8 more of these to go before we get an answer, essentially. Her or the Fae Lantern guy, yeah, those are like the best bet, honestly.
말벌 그 자식이.
The corridor was thrown into complete chaos.
싱클레어 씨, 이곳으로 오세요. 안 돼. 거리가 너무.
Is everyone alright?
환상체 탈출에 대비해 설치된 격리 시스템이 작동된 것으로 보인다.
Massault, who had been standing close by, replied in a monotonous voice. And just as he said, when I looked around, that is indeed a split.
내가 앞장서도록 하지. 따라오도록.
And with that, Otis and the LCD's team's footsteps faded into the distance on the opposite side.
우리도 슬슬 이동하도록 하지. 사실 여기 있는 맡은군과 조수군만 데려가도 통제실을 복구하는 정도는 아무 문제가 없을 것 같긴 하지만 말이야.
전력 시설의 구조가 그리 체계적으로 되어 있진 않나 보군요. 이러한 통제불능의 상황까지 대비하여
내가 건물의 설계까지 도맡아 할 만큼 한가하지는 않았어서 말이네.
고작 이런 일로 울상짓지 마시게나, 히스클리프군.
Young Heathcliff. Oh. Yeah, of course she gets to say that these days.
맞아요. 저희 셋이서 뭉친
시킨다면 어떤 일이든
The voices of Hohenheim and the other sinners also slipped further away into the background. Could we get a move on to?
황금 거지가 가까이 느껴지면 바로 말해줘. 빨리 좀.
Okay.
하.
Two smokers. Ailamau.
딱 여기에 모였군 그래. 아이 다들 어떻게 담배도 안 태우고 이런 노동 환경을 봐.
피운 시절은 있었다. 지속할 이유를 찾지 못하였을 뿐.
그래? 못 폈는데.
Oh. Random Merceau characterization. Okay, sure.
담배라고 지칭될 수 있는 것 대부분을.
Most things that fall under the category. Wow.
아니 난 1년 내내 바른
필요하다면 통상적인 올바르지 않은 일들을 가리지 않고 했다.
나는 부인의 시절 동료들의 권유로 면목음한 적은 있었네. 그게 처음이자 마지막이었어.
Oh, wait, I can build a pretty solid team around these guys. As long as I have the leveling tickets. Anyhow.
류슈양은 언제부터 권력
Every pair of eyes searched Roshu's face. But she didn't bother telling us her story, nor did she reveal any signs of unease or anxiety. What we saw on her face was inexplicable exhilaration, thrill, and as strange as it may seem, a fury chilling to the marrows.
글쎄.
Meanwhile, back at the transporter truck. No connection. Haha. No one saw the events of Leviathan. Good stuff, ain't it? Roseate Desire. Better red tape than red shoes. Huh. Oh. But these are pink shoes. Roseate Desire. Alright. And we're limited to, yep. If I had the tickets to put it together, I probably would have gone straight for Tremor. Or Tremor Bleed. Oh. There's 3 unbreakable coins. Ain't you fantastic? Let's hit them all. Oh, how many people just got woke up by that? What's the rant counter about? I do not like the author of Hellscreen. That's mostly what you need to know, Ixie. Look at all that poise. Holy hell.
전투 응대는 성공적이었다. 나쁘지 않은
All that real shoe damage. Not to be underestimated.
이제 다른 쪽 집안일로 돌아가지.
Oh, come on. Really? Straight into another fight? Are we really doing this?
내가 세피라로서 너희가 죽지 않도록 도와줄게.
I just missed.
방금 공격. 다음에 다른 개체에게도 다시 해봐줄래?
That's annoying. That's very annoying, actually.
도움이 될지도 몰라.
또한 지식이 되도록.
Oh, really? Okay. Why? Oh, okay. Roshu's just gonna die here, I guess.
상담에서 알려준 대로 잘했어. 역시 상담 프로그램을
Or not.
만드는 건
So that might just be a reset, just due to getting memed, basically. Because we may straight up just not have enough damage to clear fast enough now. Everything good? Roshu's on like 3 HP right now because she got hit twice by the stupid triple coin unbreakable.
직원들이
And she's bleeding.
개선하는데 성공했어요.
She's just dead.
이걸로 많은 피해를 예방할 수 있을 거예요.
An attack skill coin. Good thing she's full of defense skills. Let her evade the red coin? Yeah. Probably next time.
좀더
Bro, just the gods spam and... Oh my god, there's still...
제압하는데 성공했어요.
There's one more extra after this, so this might just be a reset. Because yeah, that bleed isn't getting cleansed away. Which means we're gonna have to resort to more extreme measures.
내가 너를 위해 기도할 것이오. 너는 반드시 부서진다.
Yeah, fuck that attack specifically. It still does potentially so much damage. She was out of the fight for like half the fight and she could still fight back that hard. Like, heck.
내게 받쳐주지.
Feels like finger season, but bet they'll launch many finger IDs in the near future. Odds are. The thing is, I just hope they don't do the thing they accidentally did with the Hay shows and launch too many fingers. This attack hits so hard. Like, what the fuck? Thank you, Roshu, for being dead for nearly half the fight, but still carrying it at the very end. Christ. That was cursed. That was really cursed. Getting hit back to back with the stupid 3-coin unbreakable. Once the elevator doors opened, LCA agents began pouring into the facility in perfect order. Wow. They immediately began hacking and shooting down anything that got in their way. There wasn't the slightest hesitation in their movements, as though drilled into them over countless rehearsals. It's quite violent sounding, actually. It's quite loud. From the way they never failed to deliver a killing blow to any targets, and so much as twitched even when it was already mangled beyond recognition. To tell they were seasoned veterans with years of combat experience. Began to grow certain that these fighters could brush aside any obstacle we faced with ease, including yourselves, probably. Eyes forward. Oh no. Lights flickered and... Ah! Oh, that's fun. Hey, Roland. Lolan. Totally not Roland. Nice. Too lanky a face. Look at that. That's a bit too stretched out, I reckon. The lights flickered and... Oh, look. Yeah, she's... some kind of expression. Shocked or horror. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, God. Oh, shit. 3 LCA agents who were advancing while covering the front of their squad simultaneously fell to the floor without so much as a scream. Like a broken lamp, the light past the security wall continues to flicker. Between each flicker of the malfunctioning lights and the outline of the intruder's weapon seemed to shift into a different shape. At first, the shadow stretched into the sharp tip of a prick. Then after a few more flickers, it took on the familiar outline of an axe, very much resembling Rodya's own. How's 2026 so far? Any spoilers you need to know? Let's see, if anyone ever offers you a drink and calls it a mana potion, do not drink it. That's all I can tell you. That's how I started my New Year's. What Alyssa had described earlier was becoming more and more apparent to us. A relaxed but disciplined gait. Man, after having slaughtered dozens of LCA agents, slowly turned around to face us, his sharp dress shoes lazily clopping against the floor. He seemed to have been aware of our presence from the get-go. Light dances across the glossy surface of his white mask. He returns a smile in response to Roshu's furious wrath. Is that the white silent motherfucker? Then his lips part soundlessly, mouthing a sentence word by word. Hi, sweetheart. How did your reviews go? 38 stab wounds. Didn't want to leave them a chance. More likely he had to follow a prescript. More likely. Oh, here's our references to Hell Screen. Kind of. Oh god, is every team facing a different one?
이 앞을 비추고 있어요. 자네도 와서 보게. 내 기억이 틀리지 않다면.
Oh, well. Well, that's a fun one. That's a fun time. Oh god. Is this the one you meant, Frost? Is this the one you meant, Kura? They've all gone quiet. Everyone's dead. Ah. Oh. That's a little unfortunate, isn't it? Might be cooked. Might.
이것은 약지 조직원이 지나간 흔적이 보이는군요.
야, 그렇게 빤히 쳐다볼 필요는 없어.
Papa Bear can catch these hands. Taking his daughter. Wow.
아니,
Fair enough, Chief. You do you.
감정은 내게 큰 영향을 주지 못하네. 다만
Kim Ji-hoon make the middle the most funny fingers, yet also threatening. They're doing really good with that. I guess so, yeah. They're like goofy in a specific way. Everything's going horribly wrong. Nurse fathers. Clear within 10 turns. Okay, so there's chaff and something else. Okay. Stuck with the same team. Oppenheim Survivor Guild going full throttle. Christ.
헌팅 커틀러리 준비 끝.
Having to fight 3 nurse fathers in 10 turns is kind of fucked up with Kim Ji-hoon, but whatever. Ah. That's all we get for dialogue. Eh? Wait, so what are we fighting then? More pink ribbons! Ah!
이번 역경을 헤쳐나가기만 하면 능력을 기를 수 있을 거야. 비록
Oh, I hate it so much. Oh, I hate it so much.
내가 세피라로서 너희가 죽지 않도록 도와줄게.
Why do they insist on such high base rolls? Oh, come on. I need a real shoe that isn't like Pierce weak, basically. Otherwise, that's just going to keep happening. Bruh. Straight into the stagger mines again. Like, the maddening thing is, if we don't burst them down fast enough, then they just use a clashable defense the next turn. The ribbons, man. The fucking ribbons are the worst part about this. Oh, come on. That just sucks the worst. Ah, wasn't enough to kill. God. I picked one of the single worst Ryoshu's for this just because of the, Feel. In that vision of the past, Ryoshu raises her sword in an agonizingly slow motion, unsheathing the blade that we have never seen revealed before. A white blade of such unfeeling purity, devoid of even a trace of mercy beneath its pale edge. Wow. In the split second, I was blinded by the glint of the blade. Ryoshu clutched the hooded figure's jaw in her crushing grip. Then, without a moment's hesitation, she drove the blindingly bright sword into the figure's mouth. That's fun. Ryoshu pulled the sword out in a single swift motion. The figure coughed out a thick glob of blood and a piece of her sliced tongue. But she spat out more than just a bloody chunk of flesh. Her guaffle hacked its way out of her mouth. The triumphant laughter of one who has just seized the victory of one's life. With a deep, ragged breath, Ryoshu let the sword fall from her grip. She stood rooted in her spots, staring at the flailing figure, a look of pure confusion. Gore upscale, yes indeed. ISOTPITA. What? Insidious stench of the past in the air, bruh. Right now, right before Ryoshu's eyes, the vivid presence from the memories of the past came to life in the form of a white silhouette. Her hand slowly brushing the lips beyond which no tongue laid, as if to remember the absence of the organ that Ryoshu had so mercilessly cut off. Like a lone watchman who had been keeping vigil, awaiting our arrival. The mouth that lost its tongue faced Ryoshu without opening even once. But I think I heard a whisper of a hollow sigh escaping between her lips.
나는 나의 5 아비로 인해 이 세상에서 가장 소중한 걸 놓고 왔다. 그러니까
How were the 4 Sinner fights? Kinda painful, but we got through them.
되찾아와야 한다.
다시 만나게 되어 진심으로 반가워.
Aha.
류슈. 라고 주인님께서
I see. So that's why we've got 2 enemies.
소지아비.
주인님께선 이 비천한 자에게 따로 바람이 없으시니 자연지사 소생은 적막히 녹슬어가는 검과 같은 그 무렵 그대가 거미씨를 따라 이리 오신
Spiders, Fred, bruh.
이렇게 주인님의 뜻을 재차 받
혀가 길군.
As her apprentice approached us, Roshu's nurse father slowly stepped away, toward where the container of the golden bows lay nestled, emanating a soft glow.
준비가 끝났사옵니다.
Eh?
계획한 것을
What the fuck? Where the nurse father had left, a figure clad in steel armor entered. What the? Ah.
살도 피도 내게 보여줄 예술치고 이런 상황에서의 침묵은 그자 약자비는 어디에 있지?
The armored figure answered Ryoshi's question with a swing of her huge sword. Their huge sword. We need to take care of this quick and track down the golden bow. Let's fend them all off.
제법 미학을 깨우쳤군 시계. 단 얘가 무엇인지 보여주지.
AOS. Age of Sigma? Nah. Annihilation of Steel, maybe. Wave 1. What the? Okay. Okay, buddy. Excuse me? What the fuck? Gain 4 poise. You have to target it or it... Lose 1 poise count. Gain 2 poise count on hit. What the fuck? Flash win, gain poise, gain poise, gain poise. It's all gain poise except this last one. We don't have a choice but to target everything. Because if we do not target everything, then... After attack skill end, deal number of slash coins that critically hit times 10 slash damage against each target. What? Moonlight Azure. 1% on critical hits. Tranquility. If it has Moonlight Azure, SP does not drop below 0. You fucker. Convert any SP taken into gloom damage. Okay. Okay, so sinking does damage still. Pay for SP changes due to base factors. Lose free potency to blah blah blah. Base factors, okay. Yep, after losing clashes. In a clash against targets that aren't Ryoshu, -2. -2 clash power and take 20% damage from targets other than Ryoshu. Poise is capped at 25. Excess will be converted into Moonlit Azure Blade. Okay, in other words, it's telling me to do this instead. I should sequence that last, though. Because this is gain poise, gain poise, gain poise. But on clash win, gain poise count. Clash win, gain poise count. We cannot afford to lose these 2 clashes. However, if we win this clash, we kill 1 poise count. That's a very important distinction to be making here. We are keeping this guy reasonably suppressed so far.
능력을 기를 수 있을 거야. 비록 그 과정에서 희생이 나올 수 있겠지만 내가 세피라로서 너희가 죽지 않도록 도와줄게.
As long as we can win the clashes for Yoshu, then it's quite alright, basically.
이 또한 지식이다.
The only problem is we're not doing very much damage to him. Huh?
요즘
Fuck.
고민거리는 없어? 혹시라도 일하는데 힘든 점이
Okay,
있다면
that's a problem.
나와 상담해줘.
That is very much a problem. Butcher ribs. Inflicts fragile, gain protection. Power down, power up. Oh, okay, she's an even bigger threat. 2 corpus ingredient. Corpus ingredient expires next turn. Gain artwork fascia. Oh my god. Use a powerful attack this turn. If this unit is hit by an attack skill before using the powerful attack, gain 1 impact. When using repressed flesh, lose 10 final power for every stat. Fuck. We don't have as many choices here as I'd like, basically. Still not enough for regret. Regret comes the turn after.
나아가주게.
Do be careful, she sting. Yeah, I figure. Oh, of course she does pierce damage. Okay, so when she has 2 corpus ingredients, then we have a problem. Okay, take less damage from statuses. Panic resets to 0. Fixed panic. Armor, repression. Protection and repression. Isn't staggered. Gain 2 protection. 10 defense level up. And shield equal to. Every time it uses, gain 1 fewer protection. 5 fewer and reduce percentage above. The unit isn't staggered. When hit by the last coin, activate the following. Deal pierce by 20% of... Oh my god. Some of this stuff's just nasty. Okay, we haven't been hit by the repressed thingamabob yet. Okay, repressed flesh. When hit by attack skills before using this skill. So we need to sequence this down. We need to use like 4 attacks on you before maybe using an ego. And then we need to prevent you from gaining anything. So this is probably our best bet, honestly. Yeah, this fight feels almost on Library of Ruin a few. Also Lei Heng fight before he got nerfed to death. Died 2021, 2025. Welcome back, repressed flesh. Okay. You're right.
이 또한 지식이다.
Oh my god, that's so much less final power. Holy hell. Okay. We're doing good now.
지식을 마주하고 겸용하라.
소생의 쓸모는 다 있어. 이만 물러났어.
Oh. He's just gonna leave. Okay. Sure, buddy.
혹시라도 일하는 힘든 점이 있다면
Wait, did I have to clear this within 10 turns? Just clear? Oh, okay. Easy then. Very easy at this point then. A bit of a reading fight, but otherwise, nah, it's not that bad. Ah. Yeah. This effect cannot be disabled by blah blah blah. Eh. Wait, so is this just don't hit her? Is it actually that simple? Is it seriously just multiply the damage from Iron Maiden's spikes? We just have to not hit her, right? Are you serious? Hang on. If this unit isn't staggered, when hit by the last coin, activate the following. Deal pierce damage by 20% of said coin. So you kill yourself, basically. Damage from this effect cannot stagger. Okay. Reading and non-win rate check. That is funny. It cannot be offset, but just don't hit her. Like, yeah, that's all that was. Win rate this trust. Hell no, Soup. Hell no. Friend asked me if I tested the damage from this. You did not. I see. We're getting a stagger? Not yet. Now we're getting a stagger. Still no stagger. Oh, she just does her thing. Okay. Oh. Huh?
계획에 없는 행동을 삼가라고 소생이 누누이 말하지 않았사옵니까?
보여? 파시아도 두근거리기 시작했어. 오랜만에 보는 떨림이야. 파시아에게 대화 정도는 시켜줄 수 있지 않겠니?
그런 사사로운 욕망의 표출은 이번 계획에 있지 않사옵니다.
맥박을 놓치며 달아오르는 살결을 구경만 하는 그런 계획. 파시아는 거슬리나 봐. 힘줄이 팽팽해졌어.
주인된 자들의 뜻에 따르기 위해서는 이런 흔한 장단에는
마에스트로님의 영영 되찾을 수 없는 아이에 대해 늘 궁금했었는데 조형 정도는 준비해볼 수 있지 않겠어?
뜻을 헤아릴 줄도 모르는 망나니에게 가장 한번 칠 필요가 있겠군요.
Well. Huh. Bruh. Didn't even let us finish the job ourselves.
다행이라고 말해야 할지.
전투 응대는 성공적이었다. 나쁘지 않은 움직임이었어.
Good job, Ryoshu, for doing a majority of the damage.
다른 쪽 집안일로 돌아가지.
Oh, okay, so it was 18 nodes. Okay. I was expecting one more after that, but... Oh, this is the new excavation. Okay. Did we have the new Fred yet? No? Okay. Alright. Okay, then. Two things. Uptie story and check the theater replay for node 18. Pinky apprentice appearance is different. Potential unintended spoiler from Project Moon. Really? That's how it ends so far? Yeah, that's how it ends so far. We'll take a look at the theater one first. So, let's see. Theater replay for node 18. Pinky apprentice appearance. Okay. So is this like, you want the post-battle one or the pre-battle one? Oh. Oh, Lamau.
소생이 누누이 말하지 않았사옵니까?
보여? 파시아도 두근거리기 시작했어.
What, this? The difference appearance? Or ring, yeah.
오랜만에 보는 떨림이야.
그런 사사로운 욕망에
맥박을 놓치며 달아오르는 살 파시아는 거슬리나 봐.
주인 된 자
마에스트로님 조용 정도는
뜻을
Not necessarily unintentional. I think it was intentional in some way.
다행이라고.
It's likely they planned on using it differently.
단테.
That's different. Okay. Interesting. And Ujjat's uptie story. Also, Kura, you mentioned that there was something earlier and that you would mention it all the way till the end. What was that? Was that just this thing? Or was it something else? Albino's reminds the Scab OC, the origami paper. Ah, yeah. A bit like that. Don't understand. Stored in the armory are the very same gear my team and I have been using until just a few days ago. I remember receiving reports that there were abnormalities and distortions that were to exercise... we were to exercise martial force to suppress. On hearing that, I came in here and packed a few ammo cans full of anti-abnormality special rounds for the mission. Remember it as clearly as it happened yesterday. Now, how come they're also faulty now? Sonar interference module. It's got a snapped actuator cable. Impacts distributive attenuation units. Not even here. Default cognition filter settings are all jacked up too. These were all functions that, while never used that frequently, were consequential enough that I was pushed to use them all at least once while on an operation. Something about this smelled funny. It was too precise and intentional to be disregarded as a mere coincidence. Almost as if someone who possessed a comprehensive technical and tactical knowledge of each gear sabotaged them. What the hell is this? Ma'am? Couldn't you have not... Don't suppose there was any reason for you to knock. No, ma'am, I did not knock on the account of this being an armory. So, what is your business? Document for you, ma'am. It is a business letter. Latest release, Dimensional Container Insurance Logistics Notice, ma'am. Never saw the ring, Nurse Father, so unless your memory is mutilated. Fear that he's wearing someone's skin. Odds are. Do wonder if it really is necessary to replace that gear again, especially when the last renewal was but a month ago. But why not, I suppose? This company is disgustingly rich. And they cheaped out on us. I have no idea how they do it. But they keep picking up these partnerships with corporations and workshops, even snagging the rights to internally distribute their yet-to-be-announced products as a test run. When I see them eagerly issuing us gears loaded with singularity tech, it must have cost them a fortune in patent fees. It almost makes me wonder if they never even considered the idea of budgeting. Even the gears in this armory are all high quality. No, they're not just high quality, they're extravagantly top-notch. Very well, leave it on my desk and... Hold on. You know who was responsible for running the last gear inspection? Of this armory? Technicians sent directly from the higher-ups in the LCA, ma'am. They came in a few days ago to test their functionalities. From the HQ? Yes, ma'am. By any chance, would you like us to run an inspection of our own? No. Don't worry about it. They already ran an inspection just a few days ago anyway. No need to concern yourselves with doing it again. Anyway, how's the situation down at the research facility? According to the transmission from the before team, it seems to me they're having a hard time getting a clear picture of what's happening within the facility. Regardless, the word is that the recon team of the Special Operations Units might be getting deployed soon. Special Operations Units. Are the portals working again? No, ma'am. Strange. The HQ's response is too tepid, considering it's the research facility of the LCE under attack. Even stranger still, Wayfarer Corp, responsible for the deployment and service of the backdoor portal stabilization technology for the HQ hasn't reacted in any meaningful way to this rather serious breach of security. Perhaps they've already talked this out with the higher-ups, but either way, this isn't something a mere team leader like myself should rack her head over. Would you like us to go on standby for deployment just in case? Ha. Say it like you mean it next time. Just take it easy for now. Yes, ma'am. I should inspect the rest of the gear in here. And that's everything. So, the HQ employees left these gears in such states of disrepair, huh? But they've left these too neatly organized afterwards to chalk it up to mere negligence. What could this shady company possibly be planning now? After the smoke war came to a close, I wandered for a while, unable to settle until one day. I was scouted by a rather peculiar Grade 1 fixer office, which has mysteriously maintained its grade despite its rather middling fame and performance, by a mutual acquaintance connection. The terms of the contracts, which were delivered to me with a heads up that we would later be a part of a corporation called Limbus Company, were almost unbelievably lucrative. Although the role I was to take was that of a simple team leader at a company I had only just heard of, I was offered an eye-watering salary. And those assigned under my command were nothing less than what one would call elite operatives. Despite those incredible perks, there were moments when I could not help but feel a sudden chill running down my spine as I carried out the mission sent to us from the higher-ups. Our next mission seems to be to obliterate a finger subsidiary known as the House of Spiders. Yes, now is one such moment. This sudden chill again, that I might be getting swept up in a current much greater than myself. In the zone we're handling, looks like we'll be responsible for dealing with a proxy of the Index, who was once a star of the city all on his own. We're going to need a new strategy. Ujat Talata, cover the gap on our left. Oh god, I'll take the rights. We lost the target. Ma'am, how do you think the proselytes found out about this place? Through the prescripts, what else could it possibly be? Among the Index members who crashed the fight, the ones wearing long capes went after the so-called Index nurse father without engaging us. That nurse father had a rather nasty, almost fatal wound, but assuming that the Index members who went after the nurse father would provide appropriate medical assistance, survival was still a possibility. We suffered some heavy losses. This is a rather acceptable outcome. Numerous, rarely used functions and additional workshop gear you brought to the mission really came in clutch for this operation, ma'am. I thought preparing as wide a range of options as possible seemed the most apt countermeasure against an enemy that is difficult to predict, that is all. As for our deceased, collect their gear, and either incinerate or crush their faces. Well then, time for the reports. Come in, this is LCA Vanguard Team Ujjat. Position secured. Over. I sensed it all in that slight exhale coming through the radio. The surprise, followed by marvel, and through it all, an undercurrent of annoyance. The listener is impressed by the unexpected success, but annoyed at the fact that said success undermined the real intent behind the mission. Is that so? That might as well have been a confirmation of my suspicions. Now I know who sabotaged our gears in the armory. Any internal documents and bodies found on site will be collected by the after team. As for the handover of relics to the LCA R&D team, we will be giving the relic handing task to a different party. Understood. Do you have any further questions? Negative. Listen, team leader. Please keep up the good work, exactly as you're doing now. There were many questions to be explored upon my return, but at this moment, I had only one answer to mutter back into the radio. Understood. Okay. Oh. Okay. That is actually quite a lot packed into that one. Let's see, Kura, if you remember me mentioning Rashomon, how a servant had gone ahead and tried to steal from their old estate and all that. Yeah. I believe they may indeed be borrowing Rashomon in some way or another. Okay. So before I end the stream, I'm going to give a quick overview over the specific short stories that I did read so far. I did manage to get through 8 of them on, let's see, it was Monday night? No, Tuesday night. Yeah, on Tuesday night. I got through 8 of them before the Canto released on the 31st. The specific ones were Rashomon, which follows a servant having been fired, and due to the pestilence and all of the shithouse stuff going on during the Heian period, they started wandering back to their estates, their former estates, and decided, okay, if I am to survive, I may need to steal from my former lord. Therefore, in Rashomon, the servant goes in, tries to justify his theft, runs into an old lady, picks the hairs clean from that, or doesn't pick the hair, the old lady's picking hairs clean from corpses, he threatens the lady, then strips the lady of their cloak and runs. Plus the thefts and weird atmosphere of Rashomon. That one's a particularly funky one, but the LCA story there is probably the closest to what we're getting in terms of Rashomon. At least, if we know that someone is turned traitor at current, then yeah, they're using that part of Akutagawa's work, because Rashomon's a rather notable one. I wouldn't consider it part of his better writings, though. Next is Hana, or the Nose. This one followed a Buddhist monk with a 6-inch long drooping nose, which then at some point had that affliction fixed, only to not really enjoy the fixing of that affliction, and then, what's it called, having his nose restored only for things to go back to the status quo, more or less. That one's more of a very Japanese story, I guess, and is kind of the idea of things. It may not necessarily be what's in front of you that's the problem. It may be other matters, so to speak. And in returning to the status quo, it's a very Japanese story. This one was the one that was promoted heavily by Natsume Souseki. I am not a particularly big fan of this one. Anyway, next one I read was Liquor Worm. This one is a very Chinese-centric one instead, where there is a landlord who owns large swaths of millet fields and all that. However, he's so rich and so dada, so very lazy kind of affair, that he eventually just spends all of his days drinking alcohol. However, he can't get drunk, therefore he keeps drinking and drinking and drinking until one day a priest from some other place arrives and offers to rid him of his affliction, make it so that he could get drunk. And thus he strips naked next to a liquor vase, and a liquor worm comes out of him and plunges itself into the liquor. From then on, he is able to get drunk and is indeed reviled by liquor. However, his estate falls into ruin, his fields constantly being sold off, until eventually he is no more than a pauper tending the fields. It comes to the conclusion that there are 3 possible reasons for his sudden decline. 1, that the liquor worm itself was part of his fortune. 2, that the liquor worm was his misfortune, and if he had kept drinking, he would have died an early death. Or 3, that in having lost the status quo, in having lost what he was used to doing, he died then and there. The way you can draw parallels for this one in Limbus is potentially if we had a second Intervallo. This second Intervallo probably would have gone over the stolen Anaworm, basically. The stolen Anaworm being the proxy here for the liquor worm. And seeming that this story is very Chinese, this is the potential interlinking section. On the other hand, you then look at the next story I went over, which was Sweet Yam Soup. This one follows someone that was not necessarily poor, but kind of a coward. Not very intelligent. Akutagawa likes writing idiots, and to be fair, I feel like Akutagawa is an idiot, so, you know, it checks out. Anyway, This idiot lived for one thing specifically, that being sweet yam soup or yam gruel. Depends on which translation you're reading, essentially. And he only gets this once per year as a retainer for a lord. Samurai retainer for a lord. And a different retainer decides to offer him the chance to drink all the yam soup he could ever wish for. And the man is essentially whisked away on a magical journey as he witnesses everything from high society being served to him on a plate, basically. He is shown the privilege of the strong, shown what happens to those who have already made it, essentially. They cook so much yam soup that he can barely drink his fill at that point, and he all but stops after a certain point, and that's kind of where the story ends. So it's kind of a story about effort that's not by your own hands, and given as a handout is not necessarily as fulfilling, and kind of feels disgusting to be receiving a handout. It's also very Japanese, I guess, yes. Anyhow, the next one, so that one may not necessarily link back into Limbus quite as much. We don't really have a Nepo baby, so to speak, flying around currently. At most, maybe Roshu as being nepotized into, or not necessarily nepotized, just born straight into the fingers. But that's as far as that one would probably travel, realistically speaking. The next one, though, is The Devil and Tobacco. Or Tobacco. Tobacco to Akuma. This one follows the story of a devil trying to integrate tobacco into Japan. And they figure this by substituting for one of the, a European explorer, basically, and their brothers, bringing in a tobacco plant. They arrive, buy out some fields, and decide, okay, let's fill it all with tobacco. And let's fill it all with tobacco and not tell anyone that it's tobacco. After all, if the devil manages to get people to smoke, he's doing their job in furthering them closer to hell through the vices and whatnot. Anyhow, he greets a merchant and gives the merchant a wager. If you can guess what I am, if you can guess what I am cultivating, I will give you my entire field. However, if you cannot, I will take your body and your soul. Anyhow, the merchant racks his brain for a while before trying out a devious plot in which he sends an ox to absolutely demolish the tobacco field and cause the devil to falsely scream out, "Oh no! My field of tobacco! How could it be being destroyed by this rambunctious creature?" The merchant, having his answer now, answers that the field is tobacco, and the devil hands it over. Thus, quote-unquote, introducing tobacco to Japan. This is a very stupid story for many reasons, but Ryoshu bloody smokes. Cigarettes are weirdly a big thing here. In this particular case, if they're being particularly on the nose about it, cigarettes are evil, basically. Tobacco is a sign of the devil. Therefore, anyone who is smoking has done something particularly devilish, or is meant to conjure up the image of something very hostile, I guess, even for members of syndicates and the fingers. But it is its own kind of deception of some kind. That's all you can really pull from that Akutagawa work. And then for the next one, Fortune. Fortune's a really weird one. This one is closer to more of an index kind of story, I guess, is the easiest way to put it. Fortune follows a potter and a samurai. The potter is telling the samurai a little fable story that they heard through the grapevine and whatnot about this lady who had come to a temple to pray for guidance from the deity there. The deity, in her hallucinations, she thinks the deity is giving her instructions. And so, even though the situation she's being thrown into isn't particularly good for her, she follows the instructions, because the instruction given was, on this hill outside the temple, or on the way back, listen to everything that the first man you encounter says. This straight up sounds like a fucking prescript. Now, what goes on then is she listens to the man despite him pretty much grabbing her and running. And it turns out this man is like weirdly rich, a bit too rich for his abode and for as scruffy as the guy was. So she quickly deduces that this man is a thief. However, she had already married the man at that point in like a pretty impromptu wedding, and she had been given lavish gifts at that point. So she decides that she has to get out of here. She has to run. Now, to get out, unfortunately, there is a nun in the way. A very disheveled, very... how does one put it? Malnourished nun. She kills the nun and runs, taking gold, silks, and whatever she can muster, and heading over to her friend's house. The friend is very inviting, at the behest of being handed a lot of gold, and then decides, yeah, I'll harbor you here for a while, yeah, it's fine. And what she eventually sees out the window is her former, well, husband, so to speak, due to marrying that thief and listening to the prescript. Listening to that thief, her husband getting dragged away in chains and being forced to cough up the location and whatnot of the rest of his fortune, etc. This just screams index, basically. Follow the prescript and you'll be fine. Or, in this particular case, it was supposed to be the message of, fortune doesn't exactly come in the form that you expect. You may need to do more than just listen to someone higher up. That's the kind of message Akutagawa is trying to give here. Anyway, the next one I read was Spider's Thread. Apparently this is meant to be some other Buddhist parable, but it's mostly attributed to Akutagawa at this point. And the way I describe Spider's Thread is it's a Buddhist story written by someone who is not fucking Buddhist, basically. Or doesn't understand the teachings quite as well as they think they do. Me, having lived in a Buddhist family from 2008 all the way up to 2021 where I moved out. Rather, the family hard converted and then was pretty much hard stuck in Buddhism to this day even. Now, the Spider's Thread follows one of the Buddhas looking down at hell and seeing a specific bandit chief decide not to kill a spider due to the reasoning that, oh, it's a creature of its own. It has a life. I can't just stamp this thing's life out. So the Buddha decides to look around for a way he could probably provide salvation for this sinner. So he finds another spider in his plane and asks it to lend some thread down to this sinner. The sinner sees the thread. The bandit chief is just like, oh, I could climb this thing. I have stronger arms than anyone else here. I still have ambition. I can get out of here on my own merits, basically. So it's a very selfish approach here, thinking that he's the only one who's destined, fated to get out because of his accomplishments. So he begins climbing the spider's thread. He gets about halfway up before he tires and then decides to take a rest. But as he takes a rest, he looks downwards to see that other sinners have started climbing the thread as well. And in his arrogance, he then screams, "Hey, this is my own thread. Mine only. I'm the only one who deserves it." Blah, blah, blah. That kind of affair. And in a karmic twist of fate, the spider's thread snaps at that very moment, and they all go plunging down to hell. The Buddha ruminates on this for a little bit, seeing the thread severed in midair, dangling in the air, where the sinner, they don't actually mention any further ruminations, come to think of it. But yes, if the sinner hadn't been so selfish or hadn't been so arrogant, might have been able to find salvation. He functionally took a gift as something else, pretty much. It wasn't by his own merits that he was being given salvation, it was by something else entirely. Anyhow, Spider's Thread is the name of one specific node in the Unsevering. And it is the second node over here. Does this node have anything to do with Akutagawa's Spider's Thread? Pretty much nothing besides just the sinners maybe being able to get to salvation by using the back of the truck. After that, they then keep talking about, oh, this elaborate spider web that the Index Nurse Fathers have come up with and trapped Roshu and the sinners in and blah, blah, blah. And if that is particularly the case, as we seem to be going downwards or elsewhere, then perhaps there's something there. Perhaps there's something there. But they've decided to interpret it quite differently. Anyway, as for Hellscreen, Hellscreen is longer than all of the other works that I've listed so far. And Hellscreen goes over... maybe sometimes just Occam's Razor, perhaps. But yeah. Hellscreen is longer than all of the other works that I've mentioned so far, by quite a bit even. In writing, it's anywhere between... in English, it's between 20 and 40 pages, depending on the size of your pages. But very little is actually mentioned about Hellscreen itself. Now, Ryoshu is meant to be read as Yoshihide. Yoshihide being the name of the painter in Hellscreen, commissioned by Lord Horikawa to draw a Hellscreen, a depiction of hell on like a board, essentially. It's a decorative item and whatnot. Now, Yoshihide is something of a brute. He is supposed to be scummy, pretty much. Yoshihide is meant to be quite scummy. He's supposed to be rude to his apprentices, shitty to his peers, and way too inquisitive. In the main fact of, oh, he'll see a cadaver on the side of the road, and he'll look at it for inspiration rather than in disgust. You'll see the ways that the flesh has rotted, how the weathering of the seasons has done upon the corpse itself, before using that as painting material. And he does so to paint like this entryway to a specific temple or something like that. Anyhow, there is one soft spot for Yoshihide, and that soft spot is specifically his daughter. He will do anything at all for his daughter. Doesn't matter, he will shower her in expensive gifts at a moment's notice. He will do whatever it takes to make his daughter happy. It is that much of a bright light in his life, somehow. Anyway, the daughter is under the service of Lord Horikawa. We are listening to this story through the perspective of a servant of Lord Horikawa, who sees Horikawa as like a godlike figure, essentially. Now here, we have some lower ranking members of different syndicates show up and express a lot of awe at the various nurse fathers and at their own respective organizations and whatnot. But not much else from that. However, since Yoshihide's daughter is in the service of Lord Horikawa, she sees quite a bit of the day-to-day inside of the Horikawa estate. And one of those features a monkey. Now, this monkey, or in, well, Japanese, saru, ends up being a bit of a key feature here, because it's a bit, well, it's an animal. It acts very much like a monkey, running around, stealing fruits and whatnot. And what eventually comes to pass is the monkey steals some fruit from the young lord. Not Horikawa, but a lord, pretty much. And the monkey then runs off and runs into Yoshihide's daughter. Yoshihide's daughter then covers the monkey up and stands up for it, being like, this monkey is like my father, pretty much. To do harm onto this, or to allow harm to be done to this monkey would be like allowing harm to my father. Because due to Yoshihide's brutish nature and general assholishness, they decide, Yoshihide is often given the nickname of Saruhide instead. So just a play on his name to call him a monkey, basically. So all the way in, let's see, there's an early node somewhere, like the mutilated memory one. There is the mention of Saru. That on its own is like really inconsequential, and it's like token referencing shit. And like, there's got to be more to it that they're not showing us due to Ryoshu's gaps in memory and whatnot. But at the same time, it's so ridiculously on the nose that I'm just like, if you've read Hellscreen, you already know that they're referring to Yoshihide's nickname. If not the monkey itself that ended up being named Yoshihide, because from then on, that monkey was given, in fact, the name either Saruhide or Yoshihide as well. Anyway, fast forward a bit, and the servant is dragged around by the monkey a little bit because there's like screaming, loud speaking, blah blah blah, in like a remote room somewhere in Lord Horikawa's estate. He chases after the voices and the monkey to find the room itself and watch as someone bursts out of the room, knocking into them, and runs down the hallway. He doesn't get a good glimpse at who it is. But within the room itself is Yoshihide's daughter, a little disheveled and, well, not doing so great. A couple of wounds here and there and whatnot, is what I recall at least. The implication there, well, we'll leave that for later. But yeah. Nonetheless, Yoshihide's daughter has been kind of showered with gifts at court as well. Lord Horikawa actually likes Yoshihide's daughter quite a bit, but the servant downplays it quite a lot, being like, oh yeah, it's like the like you would give, the admiration for her working spirit and all that. Nothing nefarious, nothing unbecoming. This little incident kind of makes it look like it is indeed something very unbecoming because of this servant's like admiration for Lord Horikawa. He refuses to believe that Lord Horikawa is the one behind what he had just seen. He tucks this fact away, far, far away in the back of his mind. Anyway, after a while, Yoshihide is commissioned for the Hellscreen. This is the case of where, yep, gotta paint the thing, take a couple of months to figure it out, blah, blah, blah. And he's an asshole to his apprentices. Like, real asshole. He does things like throw them in the dark all of a sudden. He does things like, fuck, we're referencing throwing people in the dark all of a sudden, and that's exactly what they did in LCE. Great. Anyway. Throw people in the dark all of a sudden, set owls on them, snakes, whatever, to get horrified expressions, screaming. He even at one point gets, for lack of a better way of putting this, he gets a twink, ties them in chains, and then thrusts them onto the ground. In the nude, I think it was. Something like that. Some ridiculous, oh god, this is basically sexual brutality kind of affair. And it takes until other apprentices storm in and are equally horrified by other things to then finally save the twink and run. But yes, he gains all of these depictions of human suffering and whatnot, and sketches out the Hellscreen, but he isn't able to paint the colors. He's not able to finalize this one scene that he really wants to depict. And this one scene he really wants to depict is that of a noble carriage, or noble's carriage being burned down. He wants to know the expression of someone being burned alive. And the vivid cues of the flames and whatnot, so he can capture them on the canvas. He proposes this to Lord Horikawa, and Horikawa at first is a little perturbed by it, but then starts laughing. Being like, yeah, sure, we'll get you your carriage, we'll get you your burning carriage and whatnot, if it means you can complete your Hellscreen. Sure, we'll provide it to you, we'll even provide the noble for you. So they go out to a different estate. It's ruminated to be cursed because its previous owner had died in some incident. And when they arrive, the carriage is set up. There is someone bound on the inside, but it's not necessarily given a proper description quite yet. Until Horikawa orders for his servants to reveal who it is. And remember, Yoshihide dotes really hard on his daughter. So when suddenly Yoshihide is then revealed, or Yoshihide's daughter is then revealed to be the one inside of the carriage, right as they set it on fire, Yoshihide tries to jump up and reach out, but stops themselves. This happens multiple times as they get closer and closer, as the flames gush up, as the woman on the inside, his daughter, is engulfed in flames, and there are screams and whatnot. And eventually, the monkey, Saruhide, jumps from a rooftop and into the carriage, burns alive inside as well with the daughter. Yeah, that's hell screen for the most part, because what then happens is the hell screen is delivered a while later. It is absolutely horrifying. The colors are too vivid, the depiction too strong. Even Lord Horikawa is a little sick at the thought of it. And according to the servant, Horikawa is usually not that easily perturbed. A day later, Yoshihide takes his own life. And that more or less concludes Hellscreen. There were a couple of details here and there that I skipped on, like Yoshihide always wanting his daughter back. Every time he'd paint something for Horikawa, he would ask, "Can I have my daughter back? Can I have my daughter back?" And Horikawa would always say no. And now, in this final moment, Horikawa functionally kills everything that's left of the man. With the monkey jumping into the flames, doing what Yoshihide couldn't, he's basically died then and there, leaving only behind the horrors and hell that the man himself had borne witness to. That is Hellscreen. So far, we've gotten mention of Saruhide. We've gotten things flushed in the dark and parts of the LCA going through horrifying and vivid torture and whatnot, shown to the sinners. And finally, let's see. And finally, there was a mention at one point with the nurse father and all that. Or the index father, I guess, at that point. The mention of burning. Burning being 100 times more painful than stabbing. There you go. There's more or less what I can run you up to speed on in terms of Akutagawa's works. And for that very reason, I'm adding another... Let's see, I'm adding another 8 there, because I just went over 8 of his works. There. Akutagawa rant counter is now up to 11. Thank you very much. Any questions from the class? If that is all, I will take my leave.